What we're going to talk about tonight is, first of all, why we needed to change the way we're grading speed building, and then how we're going to be grading it. And I just want to kind of let everybody know we're not just changing it up for the heck of it or to try something new or anything of that. The Department of Education requires us to change our grading to where we can no longer issue in progress or IP grades for speed building classes. It seemed to be okay for 40 years, but now they got a problem with it. So this was all the culmination of trying to come up with a new system to where we can assign you a letter grade at the end of the quarter, but without failing you if you've gotten stuck in a speed for a quarter. Because previously that was the only difference, is that if you didn't pass the test, you get an IP, give you another quarter to do it. So instead of just saying, oh, you didn't pass the pre-test, you get an F, this will help. And also, when we started thinking about this, I really tried to incorporate a lot of things we're already doing or we're supposed to be doing, as opposed to just tacking on a lot of new stuff to make your life busier. So everything that we were doing and we're already supposed to be participating in, for instance, practicing every week or doing the mock trials, everybody knew that that wasn't like voluntary, even though some days and nights it looked like people thought that way. When we come in here to be like a handful of people. And maybe some of the reason for that is even though it was benefiting you, the fact that you were not getting credit for it might have been just enough to say, well, I don't think it counts. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect my grade. It's going to be part of your grade now. And not to be punitive, but so that it can be something that we can actually quantify. You did it. We can give you credit for it. So think about it as, hey, I'm going to get credit for what you've been making me come to do, and didn't matter. It seemed to matter if I came or not. You guys who participate in it consistently have realized that it has value. You know you're learning a lot, and you all got it, and now we need everybody else to get it too. It's part of the grade. This one right here it has a breakdown of how we're going to grade you, and it looks a little bit complicated. It's not too bad, really. It's going to be more complicated for us as teachers to calculate it. The first part of your grade is going to be, I was talking about mock trials, and if you go down to the bottom in the grading chart, it shows you how many you need to get a certain amount of credit. Now, these numbers that I have on here, we're definitely going to do on campus at night. Most of these numbers really just represent half of what day school students have. So if it looks like a small number, it's because it's half of what you would have to do if you were full-time. We've talked, Julie and I have talked, and some of the online teachers have some good ideas, especially for both practice and transcripts, that I might not necessarily talk about, but since all the online students are watching this, get your guidance from your speed teacher as to, they might have specific type of practice they want you to do. Or they may want a little bit more requirements on the transcripts that you're doing. Now, transcripts is still going to be, at least here in-house, 140 and up, just like always, is going to be done by coming to the mock trials, which is kind of semi-bi-weekly, like we do. We have one takedown, a week off, and then the review the after, so it's not quite bi-weekly. But you definitely have enough to get in 5 1/4, which will be giving you full credit for that section. I don't think I have anybody in here, but for folks who are online, below 140, here on campus, we would be not requiring you to do mock trial because we don't do it at a slow speed. We do it at a regular pace. Your teachers are going to provide something in the way of a 5-minute take or a dictation that they're going to want you to transcribe to meet this requirement. Again, check with your speed teacher where that's required. The speed teacher you need to check with, we call them your lead teacher. That person is going to be whatever teacher is in the speed that you started the quarter with. So if you're going into 140s and you started with art, 140s, and you got, knocked it out and got up to 180, and you were going to Jeff or someone after that, he's still your lead teacher for that quarter. Okay, so that we don't have to swap off in the middle of the quarter. It will be very hard for anybody to keep up with doing that.
Right there.
I will keep up with, here on campus, I'll be keeping up with your transcript. The one, you guys at night, don't really have to do anything different because you've already been turning in a transcript. During the day, they would actually transcribe right after the takedown, and when we review it, it was more consolidated. And I wasn't having them turn it in since we were reviewing it. I'm going to have them start turning it in for credit. So you guys don't have to do anything different. It's just the same as you've always done. Just make sure you're showing up for it so you get full credit. And that'll be 40% of your grade. That's easy. You get the majority of your grade. Any questions on the transcript part before I move on to the next?
Transcript can be graded itself?
We are not. If online wants to, we've had that discussion, if online wants to do some grading on transcripts, talk to your lead teacher as to what they want to do. I think it's a great idea to grade them. I don't know if we got the manpower in here to be grading them. And my only issue with grading them is that I've got folks in here who don't know what to do yet, and I kind of feel like it might be a little tough for you. But anyway, I don't want to have that debate on live television. They're gonna come up with what they think is fair, I think, on online, and I totally agree with that. Practice hours is next. You know, we've always had a requirement to practice. When I was a student, we used to have to prove it. It was all steno back then. You have to turn in the notes of whatever you've been practicing on. You could still budget because, you know, we put like all of our notes on one page, like 8 things per page. You couldn't read it anyway. I was honest because it helped me. And we used to even have to do a 5-minute take each week and have to go through it in steno, correct it in steno, and it just really helped to reinforce what I learned, and I don't think I would have done as well as I did had I not done that. Most of us are voiced in here. You probably don't need as much practice as steno, honestly, but you still need to practice. Because if you're stuck, if you're not happy with your progress, you do need to be practicing more. It's as simple as that. Some people already figured that out. You saw that happen last quarter when y'all were coming to me and I was holding you a task to get what you needed to get done, and lo and behold, it started to get done. So you just need to kind of focus on what you need to accomplish, and practice is part of it. For night and online students, it's 6 hours per week is what you should be doing. Here at campus, we will allow you to use the time that you're actually in speed class to count toward those practice hours. It's just basically any time that you're writing on the machine or have the mask to your face and actually practicing can count towards your practice, okay? You'll have a log, and on here you can put what it is that you did and the amount of time, and you don't have to go like down to the decimal point, like, you know, break it down into a .10 system like this. This is 10 minutes, I think that's something. So, you know, round it up. Try to get somewhere at 6 hours a week if you want full credit. Again, here on campus, we're going to do inclusive of what you're in-house. Online, let's talk about doing something that's a little bit more hybrid, and that's totally fine. This is where I hope people won't drop the ball, and I probably expect this. I was more worried about this than anything. It's just the remembering to turn this in each week, because that will be good. And I totally expect people to be well-intentioned and totally forget to turn this in. Sometimes don't, because it's going to count as 0 hours that week. We got to do it that way. We got to get this every week so we can record it. You just have to get in the habit of doing it. The deadline for you guys is going to be when you come in on Monday from the week before. So you got all weekend to add to this. I really don't have any way to tell if you did these hours, and I'm sure y'all will figure it out real quick that you could totally fudge these numbers. You are signing your name down here. You're attesting to the truth. You are breaking the Brown Code of Conduct if you're lying on here.
It'll show in the end.
How would I ever know?
It'll show in the end.
Yeah. How would I know? I wouldn't. I might suspect. But you don't want to be that way. You know, if we really decided, you know, I'm going to figure out the practice or not, you never know. We might, you know, start watching on a webcam or something 24 hours a day. Just be honest with yourself. You know, don't sign off on this if you haven't done it. If you fall short on a week and you want to make it up on the next week, it'll all balance out. We add it up at the end of the quarter. So you don't have to do the full if you don't want to get the full credit. You can do a little less. Down here on the grading matrix, it shows you what it will break down to. You do have a minimum, though, at night on the transcripts. If you don't do at least 3 of these mock trials in the quarter, you won't get credit. That means you barely showed up at all if you did that. Practice, if you don't put in at least 36 hours of practice in a quarter for part-time, you won't get any credit. That's getting down to some pretty bare minimum. I think y'all all agree, especially since we're allowing you to take the practice and speed class and add it to it. It's kind of like you're getting a double whammy that way. So I think that's like as fair as we possibly can get it, probably too fair. Don't y'all agree? I think that's totally doable. I think, again, probably the only thing I'm challenging some of you guys with is remember to turn this in every week, all right? It shouldn't be that hard. Remember, you're going to have jobs. It's not going to be very forgiving if you forget to turn something in. Like, where are those exhibits I asked for yesterday? Oh, I forgot. Yeah, and then it'll make us look bad. Speed tests. You will get credit now for the amount of tests that you attempt and don't pass. So for you guys who are really diligent about trying to pass tests and you just fall short from time to time, you can get some credit now for the amount that you've tried. Okay, I think you should get some kind of reward for
trying to fail.
Well, given it, because it's not all about test. You got to practice. You're not going to pass the test without the practice, but you got to take the test too. So I've heard tell some students that, and I know some who just haven't taken one all quarter. I'm not ready yet. You're shooting yourself in the foot doing that. If that's what you're doing, you need some motivation to start taking some tests.
Well, we were discussing that. There was plenty of time taking it and knowing it wasn't a pass, and like, well, why would I upload it because I know I didn't pass it.
So upload them. So for
them.
credit. Now there's at least it's worth your while. It's going to count for something. You all know you learn things from taking tests too. You get feedback. You get better at reading your own writing or hearing your own playback. You do benefit from attempting tests. And it's not just about, hey, I'll take so many until I get lucky. It happens when you're ready to pass it. If you pass a test that quarter, that's one of your ones that you need for that quarter, that pretty much takes care of it gives you the 100% anyway. This is really to help you out if you go the whole quarter and you don't pass one. Okay, you get some credit. If you attempt less than, in this one, it's less than 6 tests part-time on campus, you get no credit for that. To define what a test attempt is on Real-Time Coach, it means that you uploaded the notes, you uploaded the edited test, and you got your estimated score. It's not where I saw that you played it and there's no files attached. That's not a test attempt. That was a misfire or something. I don't know. So if you want credit, you got to type it up and do all the steps. Be real careful. This goes for online and on campus. That all the correct files are being uploaded. I've seen some students where I've seen their name and I see where they put on every edited test but no notes. Those are invalid tests. We can't even look at them, or we're not going to look at them because we can't do anything with it. It's not a valid test. You got to just because you're uploading these and they're getting graded electronically, they still need to be formatted correctly. So I've seen some of that go away. Where I'm getting no paragraphs, or you've used font 8 or something like that. Paragraph it, just like you would if you're going to print it out, because we print it out and grade it if it's within the realm of being graded. And if we print it out, and then, I'll be honest with you, I've felt sorry for a couple of people in here, and I've paragraphed your test after you sent it to me, because I just felt like if I went back to you and said, I can't grade this test, that you were going to cry. But I told you about it later so that you wouldn't do that again. I'm not supposed to do that. Now, I don't make a habit of it, but you got to remember to follow the rules, and there's not that many on it. Anybody? I noticed while I'm talking to online, I've noticed some of the files sometimes are incorrect, and I'm sure your teachers have probably gotten with you on that. But they need to be Word documents or text documents or RTF documents in there. They can't be Eclipse files. They can't be Case Catalyst files. If it says .ecl at the end when you upload it, that's the wrong one. If it says .sgnle at the end, that's your Case Catalyst file. We can't take that. Some of the teachers can't even open it. So make sure you're doing it. If you're not sure about what you're doing, give it to your teacher and make sure, because you could be just wasting your time and not realize it. Any questions on the speed test? Now, attendance is part of your overall grade too, and it always has been, and always should have been. You're supposed to be showing up. If you're missing hours, we're supposed to adjust your final grade. And the policy always has been that if you miss 19% of the time you're here, in other words, if it's not above 80% of the time you're supposed to be here, you're not supposed to be able to get an A. So if you earned an A and you've missed 20% of all your classes in that class, we can't give you an A, and it gets knocked down to a B. Same with, it shows right here, the highest you can get based on the percentage that you're there. Most of you guys are pretty good about showing up. Just know that this is part of this, and we're supposed to adjust the grade for that, and as a result, we might be enforcing this more so than we did in the past. So be warned. If you're not able to show up and do it, then you're not able to show up and do any of these other things anyway. It kind of all goes hand in hand. All right? But we are supposed to be, and will be, adjusting for attendance. Any questions on that so far? Because attendance means showing up.
Based on part-time is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, 6 hours. I'm here for speed only.
Well, this is only for speed classes.
Okay.
This has nothing to do with your academic classes. I'm not saying don't show up for those. I'm just saying that won't be part of this grade. This is just just think about it. If you're going in for speed class, you get some credit on your log, you get your credit on your attendance, you get a chance to take a test, you get all this stuff knocked out because you're here. This up here, this is just for you. You don't have to keep up with this and then turn this in. This is for your benefit if you want to track yourself. It's mostly just to let you know how we're calculating it. But if you want to use these and fill these in so you can keep up with how many hours you've done this, that, and the other, use this. This little section down here where it says test pass is if you want to just write in that you type pass the test, you can write it in there so that you can keep track of it. That's all that is. And don't worry about crunching out the percentage. We'll do that for you. Now for the good part, which shouldn't be big news anymore. There's a little bit of give and take, though. The give is that there is no such thing as a 97.5% test anymore. It's all 95 across the board. 95, 95, all day long. Okay, that is, percentage-wise, to some people that doesn't sound like a whole lot. It's twice the amount of errors you were allowed to have before, if you think about it that way. Another 2.5 off of 100, another 2.5 from that. Twice the amount of errors. That's a lot. It's really too much because I've already graded some and it's got so much red on it. I can't believe it passed, but it is what it is. So enjoy it. Also, we're lowering the. That's us. What can I say? I'm sure y'all think it looks just fine. All right. This should really loosen up some of the people who've been stuck at the current place. It should really get you moving, honestly. The accuracy is now going to be graded at 90% instead of 93%. That for you guys who have been getting really close and just barely missing it, that's going to be a big deal. Okay. 90% is not too hard to get until you get post 180, then things start to really go south. So you only have to get the 180 anyway. It's the same requirements for steno and voice that it used to be, as far as steno only needs to get notes test up to 120 and not anything above, and voice starts off hopefully getting both their 120 and 140 notes in theory. If not, you got to get it in speed classes. Stops at 180. Same. It's just a little bit lower now for you. The trade-off is that there's more tests that you got to do at 95. If you look at 140, if you were familiar, you used to have to get 1 out of each category. It's 2 out of each category. This does not mean, unless I'm just way wrong, does not mean you got to go back in time. If you're at 180, you don't have to go back to 140 and do these 3 or something. If I'm wrong, I'd be really surprised. It means from this day going forward, whatever speed you're in, you need to start meeting these requirements. Okay, and that's like, oh man, twice the amount. But you're going to be passing these tests now. It's not going to be as big of a deal to get through these extra tests because they're going to be easier to attain. We've already seen names like flying on the board this week already, okay? We got a student, well,
How many tests?
we got a student who would be doing it above 97.5 anyway. She's already passed how many tests this week? 8? 8 tests. She's gone through 140 and 160 already. So, not to make y'all feel bad.
Wow.
Yeah, this should get you going. And I think sometimes when you get a little bit of momentum, it kind of gets you out of your funk and not so depressing, and you actually start to do better. You know, you start to see some possibilities, and it turns into something. So that's what I'm hoping that we get for you. 95 is what you need to attain when you go certified. We always did it higher than that on the stair-stepping speed, just to get you more firm into the next speed. And we are kind of taking that away. But, we'll see how it works out. Okay? I think y'all won't argue. Anybody want to go back to 97.5? Okay. All right, kids, so we can do it. Punctuation grading stays the same. We're not relaxing standards on the way we grade punctuation. This will just allow a lot more points to absorb some of that punctuation that keeps art up at night.
You know what we may consider this, this is not negative, but just because you hear me say this all the time, punctuation really is the basis of what you're going to be doing. You get so many more errors allowed now because you get twice the number of total errors. If we start getting people who are making 20 and 30 punctuation errors on every test, Julie might have to jump in and make a command decision that we are going to cap the number of errors you can make in punctuation. But that's not now. It's down the road. But
it's something we've talked about. So maybe in the future, if it's out of hand, we'll see.
Because if there's that many mistakes, how is the punctuation going to correspond to the mistakes?
Yeah.
Well, for example, I graded a test today, the student got 3 stenographic errors, 3 words, and 18 punctuation errors, and she still passed the test. And theoretically, you can get, if you're talking about a 160 test, you get a total of 40 errors. If you had 3 steno errors, that would give you 37 punctuation errors. If you make 37 whatever it is, 37 punctuation errors, you're not going to make it.
No. Well, that was on the Edison part.
Yeah. Well, honestly, the certifications, they don't grade like we do. They let you get away with a lot more. I don't think they're really doing anybody a great service by doing that, because it's kind of like giving you a license to drive if you're not ready to drive yet. You get out there, and if your transcript is dysfunctional with punctuation, it's going to reflect poorly on you.
Right.
We've had firm owners that have come back to us and said, we've got this student of yours and they need help. What can you do to help them out? They want to use them, but they can only use you, within reason of the fact that they're going to get a good quality transcript. And I know a lot of you guys say, well, I'll just hire a proofreader. You probably will and will need to regardless. But I can tell you, a good proofreader won't do all the extra work that you might think they're going to do. They're going to, like with me, I had at one point 16 reporters I was proofing for, and then I came back here and started working full time, and I was an idiot and I didn't drop them. I kept trying to keep up with them. But when I just couldn't deal, I knew exactly who I was going to keep and who I was going to get rid of. It was the people that were working me to death were going on the chopping block, and they will do that. They'll treat you that way too. So don't think about well, I don't have to learn this if I can just pay somebody a little bit to do this for me. They won't. Somebody that's good, that knows what they're doing. They'll realize they're making a third of what they should be making off of your pages, and they'll just tell you, I'm sorry, thanks, but keep looking. All right. So so the relaxing of the rules basically in the summer doesn't mean it's a license to to be loose and easy with the punctuation, just because you got some extras. I'm hoping y'all, everybody realizes that. We'll still continue to try to improve on that, and not just let it up because we lowered the grade standard. Okay? It'll help you get out of here, but it may not help you in the long run. Who's got any questions? Okay, so this is all you got to do, everybody. Show up for school. Take a couple tests or more per week. Turn in your practice log weekly. Don't forget. That's probably going to be the big one. And that's it. You pass the test from time to time. Okay.
Okay.
All righty.
All right, thanks
Good luck.
everybody. Let me just take a minute to apologize to you folks online. We had a little bit of technical difficulty starting this show on time, and I take full responsibility for that. So thank you for your patience, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy this new grading system. I think we've tried to address it from every angle, and I think it's well thought out, and we have the buy-in of all of our instructors. So take it and run with it and do really well. So that's all for now. See you later.